It is a tremendous act of respect to actually listen to someone. And it's only when we listen that we can hear what might be beyond the words. Can I introduce to you the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable John Howard.
Psychoanalysis is the art of close listening, and listening in a way to things people don't know they're saying but are being said anyway.
Can I say how very pleased I am to be here today to formally open this convention, and let me also thank the Kulin people for the warmth and generosity of their welcome. This convention is a unifying event. It is an occasion for positive commitment to the future and a common avowal of the destiny that we all share as Australians. It is an occasion also for frank speaking.
I don't think Howard had ever spent very much time thinking about history until he became Prime Minister. He'd been thinking about accounting and taxes and maybe social values, but he wasn't someone particularly interested in history. He had a fairly unreflected on history, and he was called on to speak in public about things so that his strategy is defensive.
Governments and leaders alone cannot make reconciliation happen simply through legislation, decrees, declarations or rhetoric. True reconciliation must come from the hearts and minds of the Australian people, in the respect they have for differences, in the attitudes they encourage in their children, and in their recognition of the common destiny we share together as Australians. In facing the realities of the past, however, we must not join those who would portray Australia's history since 1788 as little more than a disgraceful record of imperialism, exploitation and racism.
His past is a past full of good people, and then there are the bad historians in the present who are somehow wanting to attack that idealised past.
Such a portrayal is a gross distortion, and it deliberately neglects the overall story of great Australian achievement that is there in our history to be told, and such an approach will be repudiated by the overwhelming majority of Australians who are proud of what this country has achieved, although inevitably acknowledging the blemishes in its past history.
He was forced to make some concession that Aboriginal people had been murdered and dispossessed. So he makes a concession, and in making a concession he chooses this word blemish.
The blemishes in its past history.
This is a blemish on our past. So it's this minimising of something which is actually about the very structural foundations of the Australian economy, which is based on the dispossession of land, and that's more than a blemish.
We need to acknowledge openly that the treatment accorded to many Indigenous Australians over a significant period of European settlement represents the most blemished chapter in our history.
So here is a Prime Minister denying that race relations really are at the heart of some of Australia's most intractable problems. So he's denying it at the same time as he's using a word that draws attention to skin colour. Blemishes are on skins, they're on the surface, but blemishes are also on reputations, and Australia's reputation is being blemished in a way that it's very hard for us to respond to. It's being blemished by the fact that there were actually people here with the wrong skin colour when we got here.
The blemishes in its past history.
It seemed to me that in this choice of the word blemish, we were seeing the return of the repressed in Howard's public discourse, that he was, by using that word, in fact admitting the very thing he was attempting to deny.
And it's only when we listen that we can hear what might be beyond the words.